I'll remove all this so we can start from scratch. So overall, hope everyone's having a good evening. I hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. I'm gonna basically go through a series of charts, kind of disclosing some ideas, what we want to see, some of the things we will expect, and throughout the week, or even so leading up to next week as well. We're going to talk a lot about how to mentally prepare yourself for a trading week. Putting last week behind you. If it's one thing I have learned in my career as a trader, is that you're only as best as the last trade. You're only as good as the last trade you placed. So if although you may have lost a ton of money off of some stupid trades, or trades that you could have managed better, at the same time, looking at the positive things. Let me see. I want to make sure everyone who gets in is muted. Perfect. So real quick, guys, for everyone who's muted, just make sure any questions or anything, put it in the chat. Myself or Jomar will be reviewing them. So, we're going to go off the list that Jomar put. Me and him basically kind of touched base on a lot of these together. But we'll go through it for the week. We'll set up the charts. We'll look at, what's it doing? Is it going in plan with what we got going on? And really just prepare ourselves mentally, not only singular, but as a group as well. So as always, as I was talking in regards to the mindset, in reality, you are as good as your last trade. So if your last trade was a bad one or a good one, at the end of the day, it's all about finding the very next trade. So if, in this game, it's a marathon. You guys got to understand that the fact that this is something that us as a group or singular, it's not about who can get rich as fast as possible. It's about how fast can you understand this information, identify it, and apply it consistently over and over and over, making the adjustment, never assuming what the market is doing, but just reacting to what the market is doing and assessing what is being shown to you. So as always, we'll start off with GBP USD on the daily. First things first, you always want to make sure you're identifying, your important price areas. So first thing I'm gonna do is identify my supports and my resistance. So I'm gonna always go off the highs. Use my horizontal line tool to identify price where the market hit that resistance and turned around, right? Hit resistance and turned around. Something new I started doing that I seen in another video, and it really helped me kind of, find the level playing field for myself, is, really rounding up these numbers. So for instance, here we have 2.00263. I'll just round that up to 2.6. Just round them up real quick. Here we have 2.35. So we have these numbers here. And then as always, so here's my high, right? I'm gonna go off the previous high here. I got one zone. Be able to identify the next one, high. Let's say the high. Bring this down a little bit. We have some zones here to identify. Go off the lows. Let's see. So as always, just finding my important price areas that the market can bounce off of. So I was able to identify a few of them here. And we can see how overall, after the market dropping from 2016 to about October of 2016, the market's been slowly ranging up. So as we can see, the market is forming, as we consider, higher highs and higher lows. So we can see that the market is forming these right here. Turn this into a regular line. Perfect. So we got So one of the things I want to point out here is when I was actually looking at this chart, I realized that, the channel that the market had been forming here, we had a few higher highs. A few times the market formed a higher high. And throughout that, it formed higher lows, but the market also faked out of the channel a few times. So as we can see here, within the market respecting the channel, she eventually finally broke out of the channel. And from what it looks like here is retesting, along with the fact that, it seems like we have a nice head and shoulders forming. So as I like to always say, we never want to assume. We always want to assess the scenario. Making sure that the market, although yes, it is forming a head and shoulders pattern here, understanding the key component here. And that key component is the fact that the market created some highs here, which is a lower high compared to the previous high here. So when the market forms these lower highs, right, after being in an uptrend for so long, this is a perfect example of when to try to identify market structure. Market structure is going to help you identify, what or where the market is suggesting if the trend has changed or if the market has changed its direction, right? So by identifying market structure, we're going to identify the last previous trend here. So here we have an uptrend, right? Here we have an uptrend, and as always, our job is to identify the last touch before the break of the trend. So in this case, I'm going to identify the uptrend in red. Right, so we have, this is the third touch, this is the first touch, this is the second touch. Things I like to do is identify the support or the price area of those trends touches so that I know as a base point, if I'm taking this trade, where and when to get out. So for instance, if I use my zone tool here with my rectangle to identify the potential of this trade here, I already know that these are some price areas I can look for the market to respect and areas that I can take profit if I do decide to sell this. So for instance, here on the daily time frame, we saw the market was going on an uptrend. It broke it, right? If I take this and identify my price area here, I can see that the market formed a lower high point and that it basically retested the break that the market did here. So as always, breakout, retest, we can expect a continuation. Now, what are some confirmations backing up the fact that we can see the market, let's say, from where price is at now, reach, let's say, this zone, which is about 300 pips. So if we can expect the market to drop from here to here, we know that the market has been on an uptrend slowly, right? We have the market going on an uptrend. So that means whenever the market breaks this trend here, whatever price point this is here, right? If I extend this here, to confirm this break, I would need to see, let's say the market come back and maybe retest that trend, or that break of a trend confirming the start of a new downtrend. So based off the lower highs the market is making here, or we can just drag this downtrend here. If we can see the market respect the trend and the zone here, we can see the fact that the market was forming a head and shoulders pattern here, right? I'll show it to you guys, right? Shoulder, head, shoulder. We can see the market is starting to set itself up for this move to the downside. Now, obviously, we're on the daily chart, so that doesn't mean this is something that's going to happen in 2 minutes. You know, so automatically, the first thing you want to do is allow the trade to do its thing. If the market is going to respect this, right? First things first, I'm going to identify what? My channel, right? Because I have higher highs, right? I had a higher high, then the market came and created a lower high. But although all this is just a fake out of the channel, and if the market starts to consolidate, as long as it doesn't break above this channel and or this, this channel or this price area, we can expect safely to see the market go down. Now, we discussed, this is the previous trend here. So if the market maintains price below the last touch of the trend, which in this case, we're gonna name it, color it in red. Let me do this a little darker shade in red. As long as the market does not break above this zone and retest, then we can fairly say that we are in a downtrend, which we are, because we have how many touches? 1, 2. On top of that, we confirmed it with this touch right here on the closure of that last daily candle on Friday. So now that we have that, I can say to myself, all right, if I'm taking this trade for a short, obviously we're gonna decide where we wanna enter. But if I did take this short, understanding that if this is where I enter right now, there is a risk of the market going up. The question you wanna ask yourself is to where? Are you gonna close the trade if the market goes back to, basically respect the previous high the market formed here? Maybe that's not your best bet. This is where we would drop down to the smaller time frame. So right now, what do we have? We have a confirmed change of structure, right? Let me make this red again. Red, right? We have 3 touches. We have the break of structure. We have the retest of the breaking out of the zone, came back, retested this zone. Now we can see the market start to set itself up again. So we have what? We have a potential head and shoulders here overall. Inside of this, we have another head and shoulders, all right? Perfect, we have some confirmation here. This is a good time to place, your Fibonacci level, right? And we spoke a lot about how when we decide to use Fibonacci is understanding price points, right? Or areas of retracement. So as we can see here, the 61.8 is right here. So I'm just simply gonna highlight this price to see on the smaller time frames if maybe waiting for the market to come back up to this price here is a better bet than to enter right now, which is about roughly 30, almost 40 pips, let's say. So 40 pips. With the right lot size, you can manage that drawdown for a reward of almost 300 pips, right? But if you over risk, then you can knock yourself out the trade, get yourself frustrated, and then allow yourself to miss out on the move. So again, this is something that it's gonna take maybe a few days. Probably we can see it happen by the end of the week, the end of the month, right? We're talking about 300 pips. So this is just the overall perspective here. So now that we understand the bigger picture on the daily time frame, let's drop down to the 4-hour. So I'm just gonna eliminate this real quick. And I can see now how the market is forming itself, right? So again, we noticed what? That the market is still starting to respect the structure the market's formed here, right? Overall, what? Seeing how the market is playing itself out, there is room for a push to the upside. Why? Because the market seems like it's struggling off this support here, which is a previous resistance. Let me see if I can round this up to see. Right here. Previous resistance that the market formed over here. So, if I could take my, let's say, my rectangle tool, identify a price area here, I can start to see how this price area here, as long as the market stays below here, we can see it continue going down. So again, structure, right? Here's the uptrend within it. Here's the market setting itself up. Right, we have 1, 2, 3. This is the third touch. Again, scenario. If the market forms a lower high, if it does continue going up, respecting the 61.8 we identified on the daily chart, and start to go down, even if we took this trade right here, from here to let's say here, you're talking about 105 pips. That's a very great trade. Now, the decision you want to make on this chart here is, am I going for the bigger move? Am I willing to be patient for that big move? Or is this move right here perfect enough for me, understanding that what? I have how many touches to this trend here? 1, right? This seems like a second one. Here's my third one. So in order for the market to continue going down, we would need to see a break of the trend, understanding what also? That there's a price area here. So if I go back to what I was telling you guys, anytime I identify my touches to any trend, I can label the support of that trend, right? Find the price area that matters most and give me guidance as to what the market can do if it does make this move. So again, right, we have it setting up. Now it can get a little congested here, right, with everything we're drawing here. So let's change the color a little bit. So now I know that grays from the daily. I'm gonna use red for the 4-hour. Right, so see how the plan can kind of alter a little bit, but at the same time, I at least understand that with the market identifying these price areas here, I can make a decision for myself as to if I start to see any signs of retracement around these price areas, then I can understand that I can either adjust my stop loss in front of my entry or take profit, See, does anybody have any questions in regards to GBP AUD? Let's see, Christian, you with me 100% in what I'm saying here?
Nothing? You got nothing?
Hey, Chris, you there?
Days. You said the codex would crack the code.
All right, Evelio, how you feeling?
Feeling good, feeling good.
Makes sense? You see the picture here?
I see the picture.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You got it. Jomar, you got anything to add on to this?
No, basically for everybody that's just watching, I wanted you to break down for everybody to understand that when we do an analysis, it's also for everybody to keep an eye out for it and not wait for us to call a trade to get into. We're giving you the analysis so you could pay attention to where you need to be paying attention to jump in the trade. By the time like you or myself notice to get into the trade and we're trying to communicate that to the school or the school chat, it could possibly maybe be too late to get that sniper entry style. You know what I mean? Correct. So when we're giving you guys these breakdowns, it's more for a reference point of what you should be looking for and waiting for your confirmations, just like you've been taught in the school. So, and this is going to put all your knowledge into practice, kind of basically, because it's the same thing that you're doing, what you've learned through the school, which is basically applying all the knowledge you've learned of waiting for the retests and pullbacks and breakouts before you take a trade. So I asked a question in the general group for everybody that the chart, the analysis checklist that JL sent, I think on Saturday or Friday, everybody should be printing that out and looking at it and reviewing before you place a trade. Review that checklist. Me and myself and JL also made an agreement that we won't place trades unless we're looking at that at that sheet. That's pretty much it.
Correct. And I want to stress out to you guys, you know, we're going to be giving you the opportunity to claim, you know, whatever it is you want. But you also have to understand, I want you guys, every time you place a trade, you know, Jomar gave me a very, very awesome perspective on this. I want you to think of as if you only had a few bullets and you were a sniper and you had to calculate your entry as possible. I'm giving you the breakdown. We mentioned here that on GBP/AUD, we can take the trade here, right? Or if the market starts to show signs of it going up, we can take it, we can wait for it to go up. When it hits this price here, go down. Now, the market has opened, right? When the market opened, it came up a little bit, but it closed below our zone. So knowing how GBP/AUD moves, you know, it probably already made that attempt to the upside already. And we'll look into that a little bit more in depth on a smaller time frame. But I want you guys to keep in mind, right? Anytime I place a trade, I want you to think of, if this was my last trade or the only trade I can place, is it worth it? Think about confirmations. You know, I gave you guys the checklist here. You know, it says here, if we're on the 4-hour time frame, what day of the week and month are we on? Did you check if there's a high impact red folder, right? Where is the market support and resistance? We did that already. Are we in an uptrend or are we in a downtrend? We did that already. Do we have any confirmed breakouts or fake outs? We did that already. We applied the Fibonacci on the daily. Now we're going to apply it on the 4-hour, the 1-hour, the 30-minute, if I need that confirmation. I look for candlestick patterns or formations, right? In this case, you know, we see what? The market attempted to make a high. It couldn't hold that high. Came back down, right? And started to form what? It looks like a nice evening star pattern here, right below where the market attempted to break above, right? And below the zone that we marked on the daily time frame. So right now we have some bearish momentum in our favor, right? Big bearish candle here. This bullish candle attempted to, you know, take it out, although it formed a tweezer bottom, but this bullish candle couldn't hold the power to overtake that previous candle. So now we're seeing two bears come in, and now we're seeing the market holding this. So overall, again, just because it looks like it's gonna go down doesn't mean we're gonna enter it right now. I wanna have all the confirmation in play so that when I place this trade, I can close my eyes or I can not look at the chart and not be scared of it going against me. Now, if I do enter this trade, I also have to observe and understand where, if the market goes against me, where I'm closing my trade. I'm not gonna hold the trade in hopes of it, you know, going back in my favor, especially if nothing is confirming that whatever we just assessed is out of play. So again, you know, going back to the checklist, you can just run down through this, right? We can look at the Elliot Waves. Elliot Waves. What are Elliot Waves? You know, we have one move up, have a retest, we had another move up, we had the retest and a failed move. So what did that tell me? I started my wave a little too early. So here I have a high, I have a low, I have a high, I have a low, and here's my final high. So what is the market now doing? Correcting itself. So if the market's gonna change its trend, let's see, Kurt, if the market is going to change from this uptrend that it was in, we would need to see a what? What would you say we would need to see? Where are you? Unmute yourself.
Hey,
Kurt,
bro.
you there?
Evan, can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, my brother? Hope all is well.
Yeah, you too, bro. Good to hear you.
If we're looking for a change of structure, what would we look for?
We need a break and a retest of the previous highest low.
Correct. So here's the last highest low the market is making right now, right? Now, one of the things I like to do is I like to play with the trend and see if maybe we're already at that. So if I go ahead and adjust my trend here, we can start to see that there was a touch here, right? See how every time the market touched the trend, it changed direction? So here's my third touch. That means this is the point the market needs to break. So if we adjust our plan here, maybe we can see the market set itself up this way, right? Not only just break out of this structure that it's in, but also break out of the channel we identified on the daily time frame here. You see? Breaking out, retesting, and continuing to make its move down. Does that make sense? If everyone's on the same page, type 1 in the chat. Perfect. Awesome.
Now, I had remember the video that I had made off of this particular trade from a week and a half ago, which is pretty much the same setup we're still seeing. So as an example, I broke it down the same way in the video that I had sent you. I think I posted it in the group, and it still has been taking all its time to develop. This pullback here with this red box is currently right now. If anybody was paying attention to that breakdown, that would have been a signal entry right here, where that retest of that breakout right here with that previous red zone boxed out you have in there.
Yeah, right here, right?
No, the previous one.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Correct.
Because I had called this out from last week, and I had mentioned, look, you're going to probably see the price breakdown, come back and retest, and you either enter here or would enter lower. But that's if anybody was paying attention to that analysis from that previous, which is the same one you're doing now. It's just a continuation of that same exact trade.
Correct. So things I want to add on to what Jomar is saying there. Let's discuss scenarios, right? What we want to see, signs of retracement, or, what are we looking for when the price reaches these price areas? Like, for instance, if the market is going to reach this price here, like, what am I looking for? So let's say the market retraces up to here. Well, what I want to see is the bears take over. Evelio, what are signs of a bears taking over here?
The 4 white soldiers.
No, bears.
Oh, bears. The black crowds.
The black crows, right? The black crows you'll see at the end of a trend. What else? What other candle formations or candlestick patterns we can look for?
A shooting star.
Shooting stars, right? Engulfing candles, right? Something like, for instance, a hangman. Anytime the hangman happens at the end of a trend, you would start to see slight reversal, right? A bearish engulfing candle is when the body of the bearish candle's body is bigger than the previous candle, right? So if it happens here and we see something like what the market formed here, right? Or just look at here, the market respected this zone here a few times, broke below, and then boom, this is the first sign the market was going down. The engulfing kicked in, right? The market came back, retraced a little bit, and then here we go, went all the way down. So imagine, had we understood that every breakout needs its retest, right? Had I identified my price area where the zone could have been here, right? I would have seen that after the market came back to retest, had I taken this trade for a sell from here, right? I could have rode this trade. Let's say I would have rode it all the way down for 268 pips to the downside. which took about 3 days to develop. And the market reached the target here and then started to retrace. Okay? If anyone has any questions in regards to this? If you do, type 0. If you don't, type 1. Perfect, perfect. So again, GBP AUD, overall, the bigger picture, we're looking for the market to drop. I'm gonna drop down to the 30-minute time frame real quick to see how it's developing. So we can see here, if we identify the zone here that the market is making, make this yellow real quick. We can see how the market is developing this support here and respecting it, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, the market attempted to break it, right? We can see what the market is doing here, which backs up the other idea we had of it potentially coming up before going down. So here's the market forming a falling wedge, right? The market on support is forming a falling wedge, which, yes, the market can shoot up. Maybe we'll see the wick attempt, but as long as it doesn't break above this price area here, right? And we can also identify the support the market formed here, right? Maybe we can see a potential move to the upside here. And this is where we want to prepare ourselves. So what I'm gonna do right here is I'm gonna set an alert just in case the market reaches the point here. Excuse me, set my alert. The market reaches that point there, it will notify me and I will look for my signs showing me that it's ready to continue going down and I'll go. Now, if the market breaks below here, I'm ready to take that trade again. All I'm looking for here is the scenario that fits best for what I'm looking for, which is where's my best entry. So if I take my trade, I want to make sure that let's say I decide to take the trade from here, I know that I'm not letting the market go past, let's say, this point here, or I'll put it here to the zone, knowing that my take profit is right here. So if the market goes ahead, as long as she can continue going up, as long as it doesn't break above this zone here, I won't take my trade. Now, I'm gonna give you guys some word of advice. Don't go setting your stop loss right on the zone, because look how many times the market attempted to hit that resistance there. I would put it slightly above in the case where if it does break above this zone, and I know that this is my downtrend here from the daily chart, if it breaks above out of that, I know that there's a potential that this setup is done and that I may need to look for something else, okay? So we'll revisit this. We'll revisit this as this plays out. But I hope everybody understands what the perspective and what the goal here is for GBP AUD. Again, I'm gonna run it down on the daily chart real quick. We spoke about how, let me put on the 4 hour because it's cleaner. We spoke about how we want to see signs of confirmation showing us the market is going down. Right now, the 4 hour candle showing that it's attempting to go up. If it doesn't, then I will go ahead and submit my entry. And once I do take this trade, I will notify everyone in the group that I have taken my trade. I will mention my price and where I'm looking to close it and where I will close my trade if it goes against me. I'm gonna send this chart in the school. I'm gonna put the short, let's put it from here to here. So in this case, 100 pips, worst case scenario risk for a return of 266. Here's my trade idea. Put this in TPA ideas. Perfect. Next one, we spoke about, well, I'll pull up GBP USD since we're on GBP already. So GBP USD, I gave the idea last week that we were going to see the market correct itself to the upside, which it did. Made a nice move to the upside, hit slightly above the target I wanted to see. I said I wanted to see 1.31. It went slightly above to 1.31, almost 1.31, 180. and then it started to make its move down. So again, my perspective here was I wanted to see GBP USD reach 1.31 and then make a move towards 1.20. I said 1.28. So this is the perspective. As you guys can see, once it hit 1.31, it made its nice move.
Yeah,
Had you taken this trade here, you'd been up 114 pips overall. Right now, we're seeing it, you know, that she's already. So let's discuss some scenarios in the case where, you know, we can look for another good entry to take this trade. Were you going to say something, Jomar? Did anyone take GBP USD? Or I think Evelio, I heard Evelio took the buy to 1.31. Did anyone catch the drop on GBP USD? Nice. Where did you enter, Louis? Unmute yourself. Let's see where you at. What's up, Louis?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Where did you enter?
I entered at 1.30305.
1.303. Oh, nice. So you're up like 25 pips.
Yep.
Nice. Good job. What did you see? What made you enter the trade?
I look at when you guys publish it, and I know that it wasn't the best place to enter, but I did see that it was still going down from there. So
Well, you did
decided to
catch
give it a
it.
shot.
You did catch it when it broke the average resistance the market formed here and support. You see how the market was bouncing off this yellow box here?
Yeah.
Right? So right now, if we can see a nice clean retest of this gray area here, which would be 1.30, I think we'll be in a good spot to take this trade again for a short. One of the things I was going to look into now that we're here, you know, the news that we have this week. So right now, so red folders. We only have one red folder on Friday. We have two red folders on Friday, and one orange on Tuesday. And that's pretty much it. Nothing for USD other than the crude oil inventories, which don't really affect them. Tomorrow we have a bank holiday, so if we see a weak pound, that can help us out. Overall, my perspective is I believe we'll probably see some sort of correction on GBP USD in the beginning of the week. We could see it, you know, it finished the week pretty strong down. We'll probably see it come back, retest the yellow zone we marked here, and then start to make its move down. I'll keep a close eye on this price here. If I start to see it here, I'll call it out so we can take that trade. Let me see. Overall, it's looking good. It's moving to the T exactly how I wanted to see the market do. Question, guys, does anybody here have an issue with the news events? Let me see. Mr. Daniels, what's up, my brother? Good to see you. I know, Kurt, you're good with the news, right? Mr. Daniels, you're good with the news already, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good with it.
Perfect. I know Dean is good. Christian, are you understanding the news? Perfect. Kurt, I know you're good. Jason, what's up, my brother?
Hey, mate. How are you? Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. How's the weather over there?
Oh, bro, I'm out on the construction site at the moment, just sneaking in a quick watch. So yeah, I'm just doing it undercover at the moment. But no, it's all good, bro. I watch the news when I can, when I get home. Take from it what I can, and I just go on the internet and just look at other, you know, source it out to see if it's actually legit and everything else. So, yeah, I understand most of it. So, yeah, it's coming along nicely.
Nice, nice. It's good to hear from you, my brother. Let's catch up.
Yeah, bro, will do.
Awesome. Give me 1 second. So I'm just gonna go over it again for those people that are gonna tune in and watch the videos later on. So when we're looking at the news events, right? Let me open it up. So when the news events come up, right, we have a yellow folder, which is a low impact, right? So for instance, if the market is, let's say the currency pair you're looking at on a day-to-day perspective, it's moving between 50 to 60 pips average, right? On a yellow news or a yellow folder, you're not going to see much of a difference from what the market would move during that day, maybe like 5, 10 pips more. But on a medium impact, which would be considered the orange folder, you'll probably see it move like 10, 15 pips a bit more. And then the high impact, you'll probably see it move like maybe, sometimes double, depending on the intensity of that news. So as we know, the red folders are the high impact news. So for something like non-farm payroll for the US dollar, right? You can sometimes see double the move that the market would make in a day, right? You have CPI, Consumer Product Index. That's just kind of giving you the basis of, how much money people were spending that month. The non-farm payrolls is how many new jobs were created. The unemployment rate. It's the report they give out of, has the unemployment rate gone up or down? So if we have a red folder and they give an expectation, let's say, for the non-farm payroll, you have 200K, that's the expected. Anything below 200K that's reported will affect that currency. So if it's the US dollar, anything that starts with USD, okay, anything that starts with USD will go down. So being a negative impact, right? If we see, let me see, I wrote it down here. So if the number is less than the forecasted number, which is what they project, and then whatever the report comes out to, right? Anything that starts with USD, so anything like USD/JPY, that can affect the market negatively, going down. Anything that ends with USD, we can see the opposite direction occur. If that number is greater than the forecasted number, right, it would have a bullish effect, which means anything that starts with USD would go up, and anything that ends with USD will go down. Does everybody understand that? Type 1 if you do. If you don't, type 0. So again, if it's a red folder for GBP, right, if the actual number is greater than the forecasted number, then we can see something like GBP USD go up. Anything that ends with GBP, like Euro GBP, can go down, okay? If it's less than, again, less than the forecasted number, bearish effect. Greater than, bullish effect. Now, if it's the same, then this is where price action comes in. But sometimes it may have a slight tick up or down because of people getting nervous because it's a high impact news, right? So some people may close positions or whatnot. This is where you pay attention to price action, right? Price action such as bullish or bearish engulfing candles, right? Those candles are going to help you identify in specific prices, right? This is why it's important to identify price areas for you to define where or when and who is taking over. If everybody understands that, please type 1. If you don't, type 0, and I'll mute you so you can ask your question. Perfect, perfect. Awesome. So GBP USD, we're going to look for price action here. Right now, I'm still sticking to my bias here that the market's going to go down. I don't see any signs of a potential retracement. Obviously, understanding that the market had come back and was unable to form a lower low here. As we've seen, the market formed higher low, higher low. Here we have a lower low from this spectrum, but although it still hasn't broken the retest before the market made its move up. So I want to see the market break below this, right? Anytime I would see the market break below this, I will consider taking my trade, understanding that the first price area I would need to keep in mind, if I do take this trade from here to here, which is about 70 pips away, that the market would also need to break this structure or this zone here in order for us to see the longer term price area we would love to see. Again, this is on a higher time frame. This is a big move. This is something that can take about a few days to maybe a week to happen. Again, if you can catch this trade, make 200 pips on the right lot size, the days you wait will be worth it. If you do take this trade, just always keep in mind, you don't want to risk you don't want to risk everything for one trade. Okay, you want to put yourself in a position where, as we look at these different charts, not only are you able to catch whatever positions you can, but really take advantage of what is setting up for itself, right? Because if I take this trade and it goes against me, I at least still have room for error, room for margin, and room to continue. I don't want to take the trade and make the mistake where, fuck, now I got to figure out where I'm going to get the rest of this money to follow the next trade. Or now I can't trade anymore because I got greedy, okay? I can tell you a million times it has happened to me. It has bit me in the ass. And there's nothing worse than losing money on a trade that you knew it was going to make that move, but because you got greedy, telling you, I think I mastered that, right? Plotting the trade, over risking, losing on the trade, and then the trade going in my direction. There's nothing worse than that, all right? Let's move on to the next trade. So I'll post GU again. For those of you guys that want to kind of template the currency pair and put it on your chart. GBP USD. So the next one we're going to look at, Jomar mentioned, we have GU, GA, GJ. Let's look at now that we're on GJ, let's go on GJ. Jomar, you wanna plot out GJ? You wanna take let's get you on here. Why don't you share your screen and get you do some charts too. Where you at? You there?
Okay, yeah, is that you had me muted. Hold on. I don't even know if I had GJ plotted. I think so. Let me see.
No worries. Let's get to it. While Jomar's setting up, guys, does anybody have any questions in regards to what we reviewed? Let me go down the list actually. Christian, how you feeling? Where you at? Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. How you feeling? With us
Good.
100%?
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you have any questions or anything that I may be able to answer for you in the meantime?
No.
Awesome. I'm glad to have you on board with us, man. Let's see. What's up, Courtney?
Yo, I'm good. I'm just listening in. I'm at work.
All right, perfect. Is there any questions or anything I can answer for you in the meantime?
No. Thank you.
No problem, man. Glad to have you on here with us.
Appreciate it.
Hold on 1 second, bro. I'm trying to figure something out on my computer real quick.
You good, man. Let's see. Lewis.
Can you guys see my screen? And I'll figure it out later, I guess.
Yeah, I see your screen.
I kind of did go over GJ a little bit, but I typically, once I set my targets, as you guys can see over here, I erase all my lines because I just like to see it clean. But for the purpose of this webinar, I'll kind of explain exactly what I did. So pretty much from a weekly perspective, if you guys can see, oh, wait a minute, give me 1 second because freaking my screen is over large for some reason. Give me 1 second, bro, because I can't see the tools. I'm gonna have to reopen it again. Let me see if I reload it, see what happens. Nope. Shit. Give me 1 second. Let me open another window, see if it fixes itself. All right, there you go.
Yo, I was gonna say, you're on your Mac laptop?
Yeah, because I'm not on my desktop. It would have been easier there.
To help you out next time, go back on that tab real quick.
Huh?
Open that tab up again that you just had. So you see on the main menu on top of the trading view,
Yeah.
bring your mouse there and pinch in, like pinch it.
Here?
Yeah, and pinch it with your mouse.
Hey, somewhere here?
Yeah, somewhere around there and pinch.
No, nothing's happening, bro.
No?
No.
On my computer, when it does that, that's what I do.
I gotta figure it out. Don't worry. All right, so let's start from the weekly. Okay, so from a weekly perspective, if you guys can see, I already had set some targets of what my bias on GJ was, pretty much. If you guys can see, we have this big extension here, this move, which it kind of basically it slammed against this resistance up here. Hold on a second, let me draw it. Which is basically right here, right? So we have this resistance up here from a weekly's perspective, and then we have an engulfing candle, which broke to the downside and came back for a retest in my eyes from retesting this low over here. Okay, pretty much this right here. So let's, any questions on that? All right. One thing I also do, I use my Fibonacci to set these targets that you see here. So I'm going to show you from a Fibonacci perspective what we see here. Where are you? I'm going to take it from this low here to the high. And my retracement level to this area 61.80 is kind of what I'm shooting for my monthly target, but I put it slightly higher because for weeks, JL and I were expecting price when it broke out originally from this area right here. I've been waiting for, I'm not weeks, but I want to say more than a month or two, price to come back and retest this area here. And we were waiting for that to happen, but it never did. It just broke up to the upside. So what we could possibly see now is a retracement to that area, which price will be 135 flat is kind of what I have my set target where I like it. And I put my TP right above, slightly above where the 61.8 area is. That's how I have that monthly target set. Okay. Let me go back now. So from that perspective, anybody have any questions on that? From before I jump to the next, don't even see the chat either. Let me see if I pull up the chat. Sorry guys, give me 1 second here while I can see everything. This thing now froze on me. What a shit. Okay, so much for that. All right, so from that perspective, let me jump now to the month, to the daily. I'm gonna remove all this. So that's why you see my targets already plotted because I already did this homework. So from a daily perspective, what do we see? All right, so from a daily perspective, we still see the same thing. We have this rejection in this area here, right here. And then we have another higher low here. We have a lower low here. But price came back and supported against that same support here and bounced right off of the same price area again. So basically, this is in a consolidation mode a little bit right over here. But we also can consider that this is a double top right here. And we also should be able to see what I want to call a W formation. If you see it right here.
Can you explain in regards to when you see the W formation, kind of like what the reaction the market has, and show an example of it also?
Yeah, basically, when you try to look for patterns such as W's and M's, and this is basically something that Jill and I, through another pretty much information that we were receiving, we were studying it, and we found that these W's and M's form pretty much kind of constantly in the market. And after any of these type of moves, they're pretty much, you can consider them also as your ABC patterns or your Elliot Wave patterns. But when you look at it from a perspective from a W or an M formation, you're going to see these much more clearer, or at least I have been able to see them. So, for example, you see that W that's right there. That's basically a W currently right there. And after any completion of a W, you're gonna see most likely price drop. And after price drops, what are you gonna see after that? You're gonna see an M formation once that leg extension completes. So to show you what I'm talking, if price comes and hits this target, now you will have pretty much, if we eliminate this leg over here, now you see an M formation after this leg completes, okay? Which is gonna give us an extended move. So if I put my Fibonacci, that's how I'm getting that daily target. If I put my Fibonacci, let me just remove this. I put my Fibonacci now on that previous leg, you'll see price is gonna hit this daily target from an extended move on the Fibonacci. And that's another thing that we pretty much learned, that adding these areas, I'm gonna show you on the fib level now. If always looking for what we call an extended move, and an extended move is just basically that you'll see price extend if it's either the retracement either to the 1.27.20 area or the 161.8 area, vice versa. If you're basically the opposite way, that's why you see I have the minus 27.20 on the top and minus 61.80 on the top. So that's why my daily target is set right here in this area around 139,600 for this target over here to complete that M formation there. Now, at the same time, what I also see, completing that, it will retest this low of this full consolidation period phase over here. If it comes back to hit this area. Am I confusing anybody there? Does it making sense?
If anyone has any question, type 0 in the chat. If you're with us 100%, type 1 in the chat as well. Also, to add perspective to that, Jomar, you know, the market would be retesting the breakout, which is right on the price point of your daily target that never retested before going up.
Yeah, that's what I was just basically saying. So now, remember, we want to set what is the long-term perspective on the trade. Once you have the long-term perspective from the weekly and daily and 4 hour, I actually like to execute the trades from the 4 hour or the 1 hour. But I use the daily and the weekly to kind of plot what my idea is. So now looking at from over here, price already rejected off the zone. So how would I enter this trade? Although I already have kind of what my target is, I want to see after this move to the downside, I want to see pretty much a pullback. I don't even care if it even drops a little bit more. I would want to see some sort of confirmation. Let's say if price breaks below here and it comes back to retest this zone and then continue going to then take the trade for a confirmation. But we want to see that happening. So that way, once I get in the trade, my stop will be right above. So on or about this area is where I'm playing with the price. I haven't entered the trade as of yet, but once I enter the trade, I'll then manage what's going to be my risk in comparison to what I'm planning to pretty much shoot for a target. But as you can see, I was shooting for a long-term target goal here from a daily perspective. And this trade is like what JL mentioned before. This is a trade that'll take a week, possibly a few days to develop. This won't happen in a matter of a day or two. So these are pretty much swing setups, but you can pretty much, if you like to intraday the trades, you know, just get in and get out the same day, you kind of already with an analysis broken down, you have an idea where price is going, so you know how to pretty much take a trade for the day if that's how you like to trade. In my perspective, I pretty much prefer swing trading method because obviously you can maximize an amount of pips and it minimizes the times you have to get in and out of the market, which then also mitigates, you know, appetite for risk, you know, or taking more trades and being wrong on those. But this is kind of basically what I see from my perspective, GJ to come down. You know, our first target, let's say there'll be few zones we need to break first. This, I would say, would be one zone that needs to break, obviously, because we've already retested this zone twice. So as she comes down, any previous low, it needs to break it. So as you see all these lows, it would need to break those lows as well. These are like, you would say, minor areas to watch for. But when it reaches here, you should see reaction that maybe it'll pull back. And it needs to break these areas and then retest and come back down. And as these breakouts and retests start happening, this is where you want to take the trade. Now, if in the event that the price doesn't break to the downside and it just continues to the upside, obviously that also can happen, because if you see here, we also have some sort of a trend happening here that it could just continue to the upside. You also want to be mindful of that. Once you get in the trade, you're trying to get into a trade and protect your entry as soon as you possibly can. Once you're protected, then you can go to sleep with no problem or no issues because you're running risk-free at that point. So I always like to tell everybody, you know, once you're in the trade, as soon as you can put that stop loss in front of the trade, you know, you can do that and you can let the trade ride as far as it wants to go. And I say that from experience because I one time held a trade for 6 months and price never came back against me. It just kept going and going and going and going. If I can remember correctly, that was like about 1,500 pips I caught on that one move. But it's pretty much, I'd eliminated being in and out of the market for that amount of period of time. So, and that's the kind of the strength of swing trading.
Correct. And to add on to that, you know, GJ and GU are pretty much almost as very similar, actually. The difference between GJ and GU is that on GU, I mean, it didn't come back to respect the previous high that the market made over here. It kind of formed that lower high. But in the end, the market coming here to respect this price area here, all it did was confirm that that price point was important. And now we're seeing, it looks like a breakup trend, you know? So something to keep in mind, you know, GJ and GU look very, very similar. So, you know, if we start to see GU make its move, something to keep an eye out is GJ can be your trade to keep, to kind of take with it.
Pretty much also, since you broke down GU and GA, the biases, I think they're all bearish because UBP is weak. And if you notice, every pair, the way you saw the analysis or you break it down, it's kind of confirming all three in conjunction that it's a bearish move for all three. Some might be stronger than others, but if you look at the setups, pretty much they kind of all are correlating with each other.
Correct. All right, breakdown. You want to do, let's see, what's the next one? Yes. We did GJ, GA, GU. You want to break down UCAD since you're in that one?
UCAD. UCAD. All right. I'm actually already in this trade. And I just expect a continuation move of what the trade I already took. So let's go from the higher time frame. So from a weekly perspective, the first thing I'm spotted was we have a downtrend right here. There was a big extended move over here. And like I told you guys before, when you measure the previous leg with your Fibonacci, from high to low, where did price bounce off of? The 127.20 was in an extent. It's called an extended move. I believe, Joe, we don't have that as part of the course right now, correct? Right?
What?
These extended.
No. I actually started working up the slides for it. So.
Okay. Well, you guys are gonna see us talk about this a lot because it actually really respects it really good from a higher time frame. If you notice, whenever you put the fib level from a previous leg and you want to see where the current leg is doing, you'll notice that these targets, the 127.2 or the 161.80, as an extension, it pretty much respects it really good. As you can see, price bounced off of it right here. So once I saw that, this is where I took this actual position in the entry right here. But I'll break it down furthermore. So once you see that, right, I have that extended move to the downside. It's bouncing off the 127.20. And what else do I see? Can anybody tell me what else do you see from a pattern perspective? I can't see the chat for some reason, Joe. Hold on. Chat. Okay, here it is.
Mr. Daniels and Kurt said double bottom and M.
Yeah. The answer I was looking for was the M. The double bottom. You have this tweezer tweezer bottom at the other side, but then I don't know if you want to consider this a double bottom like this. I don't know if that's what you were referencing to.
I think he's referencing to the trend, the lows on the trend.
Got it.
He was looking at this because I know Kurt. When he took my 2-week program, he had a good time spotting those.
Got it. But as we can see, we see an M formation there. So from every M formation, after any M formation, you're gonna get a completion of a W. So if this move moves from currently this place here to here to another leg, what are we gonna see? We're gonna see a W, right? From here to here to here to here and then to here. Obviously, it's not going to be in a straight, but from the weekly, you can see a straight. As you can see, these candles, these are 3 solid candles to the bottom, pretty much 3 solid candles to the bullish, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles to the bottom over here, and giving us this pretty much completion of a W as I'm expecting it to happen. So let's remove some of this stuff over here, as you guys can see that. Okay, so now let's go down to the daily. So from a daily perspective, All right, pretty much we had this strong rejection here. From a daily perspective, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 candles rejecting this whole area. This was like a no-brainer for people to kind of just see that was happening and basically take the trade. Pretty much it rejected here and it came back for the retest and then it just took off. As you can see, you had the bearish candle and then you got that big green engulfing candle and then it was over from there. So I actually took an entry at that price area there, 129660. Put my stop loss right beneath it. I never saw drawdown because it just took off from right there. So where current price is currently right now it's at a zone that it's been hitting resistance, which I've been watching it just because I'm in the trade. And some people may have a bias that is retesting the zone right here, this area here, to then continue to the downside. But my bias is that it'll retrace at least to the 61.8 area before breaking down to the downside and then respecting this trend. Why do I say that? Because if you look at the daily perspective, UCAD kind of pretty much, if it makes a strong move to the downside, it'll make a strong move to the upside. Look at every swing move that she does. She doesn't come and make a swing move to the bottom and then just retrace to the 38.82 or half, or just like, it at least needs to come 50%. If you measure any of these moves, it retraces 50% of the whole entire move. So that's why I'm looking at it from that perspective. And from today's opening daily candle, we're already showing signs of a bullish move. And we could see that it retests this breakout over here. And it's, I need to see price now break through this level and go straight all the way to here, or come back and retest that same zone to continue to the 618 area that I'm expecting retracement, which I have it priced as 1.31800 rounded off pretty much. From a 4-hour perspective, it just breaks down even more. You'll see it's been consolidating here before it's going to break to the upside. I think within the next 2 days, we should see a break to the upside and see what happens from there. Once again, I'm already in this trade. I'm up like 80, 90 pips on it already. So I am good on the trade and from that perspective. But for anybody that wants to take the trade or want to jump on this trade, what I would recommend for you to do is wait for price to break this resistance that's currently within. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Dean was trying to take this trade, waiting for a breakout either to the upside or to the downside, if I'm not mistaken, Dean. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if it breaks to the upside, correct, like JL's drawing there, all you have to wait for the retest, put your stop loss right beneath, and you should be in good. If it breaks to the downside, then that's a different story. It would change the whole entire plan of what I currently have. And if it breaks to the downside, you already know what you have to do. You're going to see the break, wait for the retest, and it'll continue going down. But my bias is long overall on this trade. Any questions on that one?
I want to add something too. We got a big day on Wednesday for Canadian, for the Canadian dollar. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red folders on Wednesday. Okay, so something to keep an eye out, guys, is how price is pricing itself in and how the market is pricing itself in leading up to Wednesday. Now, for someone like Jomar, who's very well protected from his entry, if the news is negative, for the market to drop 100 pips from where it's at, he already has his stop loss in place to protect him.
Well, if the news is negative for CAD, it's positive for me because I'm buying the dollar and selling the CAD.
Correct. Correct.
If the news is positive for Canadians, then it's going to drop.
Correct. Thank you for that. The input is see how the market is pricing itself in. If you see that the market is starting to come down, maybe it's because now we're going to see news bring price up. Think of it. If I was an investor and I had a lot of money and there was a big day coming up for this currency that I'm looking to invest into, what would the market tend to do? Market's going to price itself into the best favor for the people with a lot of money, can make a lot of money. Because the name of the game is, once you have enough money, you can bring the market to where you want it to go. And that's what the banks do. So that's how fake outs develop. That's how retests occur, right? Because at the end of the day, people get scared, and that's when the banks come in and capitalize. So we'll be keeping an eye on this. Me and Jomar on this trade. One of the things I was looking at in the case where, we've seen a retracement leading up into this week is that, we really haven't seen the market come back and retest priced here. But either way, with the market, let's say, dropping to here, this is a very perfect entry to catch it here, because all the market is doing here is creating lower highs. And if it creates that lower low, guess what we have? We have a bullish flag, or a falling wedge, which is also the sign of a continuation. So those are some scenarios for you, Cad. Great job breaking that down, man. You want to do one more? Let's see.
Just like I said, guys.
Oh yeah, Jomar, can you screenshot those and put it in the chat too?
Yeah, I'll do that. I was just about to say, very important. Don't wait for us to call when to get into these trades. Basically, what you should be doing is doing your analysis the way we're giving it to you. You could have a different bias too. It doesn't mean you need to agree with us with what we're telling you, because I could be wrong. Nobody in the Forex market can predict the market 100%. I could be wrong, but if you see something different and you don't feel comfortable with it, you can also plan your trade, but plan it in this manner where you can see what's happening, and you're going to be able to know where is your stop loss going to be and know where your target is going to be. Once you know that, then, you can always try to break down your analysis. The analysis that we're giving you guys, pretty much, I think they're pretty good. It's just pretty much being patient, waiting for these breakouts to occur and retest. Anytime you get a breakout, wait for the retest and you enter on the retest. Never, after it does the breakout, because what's going to happen is you're going to enter, at a position where you're going to experience drawdown. So it's kind of almost, I would say, 80% guaranteed. If you just enter on the breakout, right after it, you will experience drawdown, because price will always try to retest the breakout. Just always remember that. Entry, look for a breakout, and you enter on the retest. Yeah, which one you want to do now?
Let's look at.
I'm gonna post these charts after we're done, because I want to make sure I fix it up for you guys. But I'll post it as soon as we get out of here, so don't worry.
Let's look at Aud Nzd.
Oh, that's an easy one. Any of our students can freaking break that one down.
While he's going through that, guys, I want to also mention I gave you guys the breakdown of the checklist of what you would want to be doing to confirm your entries or whatnot. First things first, guys, I want to stress this out too. When you're following the checklist, I gave you guys a cheat sheet. For those of you guys that that are new here, if you go on the Discord channel and you go to the resources tab, there's a PDF channel with the cheat sheet in it. Use the cheat sheet to help you identify those candlestick patterns or the formations that are going to help you, build up the confidence to identify them. And, just make sure you understand that a goal without a plan is only a wish. And you don't want to wish in this market, because it'll cost you a lot of money. Me and Jomar always say, if you treat trading like a hobby, it's going to cost you like that. But if you respect it like a business, it's going to pay you like that. Okay? Continue there, Jomar.
All right. Aud Nzd is a trade. I've been following it for a few weeks from this entire drop, because I actually caught that whole entire drop. So what do we see from a weekly perspective? We definitely going to see a retracement somewhere. It needs to correct that whole big extended move. From that trend that you see there, got rejected up here, and then you saw that we were making, it's respecting also another trend down here. There are 1, 2, 3 touches right here, and that's from the weekly. Then you also have an M formation there. Over here at the top, you have this W formation that created this drop, and then we have this big M formation completing here that it's going to give us pretty much an extended move to the upside. So we're having higher lower highs. Every time that the price came down is creating higher lows. I mean, higher low, or lower high, however you say it. But the point is that each low is higher than the previous one. So we can see a possible breakout to the upside or break this this trend that's been trending here for a bit. This is a trade that, if you guys go on the monthly, is it this one? Let me see. Oh yeah, from a monthly perspective, if you look at the monthly, this is the whole month of the whole chart. Price is at the rock bottom. It's at a zone that if it breaks below the zone, it's in an unmarked territory. You won't know what's going to happen. So it's probably a good possibility chance that you take to the upside, and it could possibly break this trend she's been in for, I would say, years, because this is all the way back from 2015. That's from the monthly perspective. All right. From the weekly, I showed you what we have here. From a daily, we saw price consolidate for, I would say, 3 weeks. And I was in this trade for buys, and I kept getting stopped out because price kept coming back. But let me draw this here since I don't have it drawn on here. I don't like too much lines on my chart. That's why I don't draw so many. I remove them right away. Okay, so as you guys can see, price has been pretty much consolidating in this area, building up that pressure, and it's gonna shoot to the upside. So pretty much it was respecting, faked out to the bottom. It faked out to the bottom, respected this trend because I guess it needed to just touch it, as you guys can see. But that's from the weekly perspective. I showed you that there was a trend forming here. Faked out to the bottom, respected that zone, and came back into the consolidation zone. And where did she retest? She retested that previous trend that she was in. And that's from a daily perspective. So this trade, I think with my eyes closed, we could take buys to the upside, put a tight stop loss. You know, you may want to go down to the 4-hour, or, you know, to take the trade, you may want to just come in here and see where we have pullbacks, where we have a pullback, which she's just coming out of a pullback, and take the trade to the upside with a very, you know, tight stop loss at the bottom. Because I don't see no reason why currently right now it might break down to the downside. It can, but this is one of those trades I take it with my eyes closed. Just because of what I see. So if I go real quick back to the daily, I pretty much can't measure this move from here because it's been an overextended move, but let's see what we get from from a Fibonacci perspective on the daily real quick. I mean, that's one leg. I'm gonna measure from here, from this low to this high. From that perspective, we're in the 78.6 area, pretty much in that zone from this previous low to the previous high. From low to high, we're bouncing off the 78.6 area, faked out to the bottom side, and then, you know, came back in. But that's pretty much kind of what I have. These targets that I have here, I set it from my Fibonacci level, from the high to the low. And they should line up pretty much to every level. Look, if you notice, each TP aligns with the 23.6, which that one already got hit, 38.2, 50%, and the 61.80. This is pretty much my targets long term to retest this breakout, which never happened. If you see over here, you have this breakout down to the downside. Where's the retest? We need to see a retest if she's going to continue to the downside. But I have a bias that it'll come and it's going to break to the upside instead of breaking to the downside. But we shall see what happens. That's just kind of me, kind of what I think is going to happen. I don't know if anybody has questions on that one, but I think this is a pretty simple trade setup. This one is not a hard one to kind of get into. Any questions? Questions, people? Questions? Yo, you there?
Yeah, my fault. I must have muted myself. Yeah. Let's see. If anyone has any questions, type 0 in the chat. If you don't, type 1. And I want to see, let's see, who's on here with us? Let's see, we got, what's up, Steven? What's up, Noel? Good to have you on board. Mr. Daniels, where you at? Can you hear us, Mr.
Hey,
Daniels?
yeah.
How you feeling? You liking the assessment?
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm getting a lot out of it.
Perfect. Is there any questions we may answer for you now?
So far, so good. I'm understanding everything that was broken down, and it's like I'm really into it, and I'm understanding it, so that's a good thing.
Now, guys, I'm just gonna be the first one to say, I'm probably, I would say a year from today, I couldn't break down a chart like I do now. And what is gonna get you to breaking down charts so good? Practice every freaking day. Every day. I mean, as much as you can possibly can, even if you're wrong, it's practice. That's how you're gonna learn. The biggest teacher is going to be your mistakes.
I wish there was like like on the DJ, we could bring back the like boop, 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 boop. That's so true. It's funny. I like to add on to that before we move on to the next pair. There's been times where I'll make a prediction and the market will make the complete opposite move, and I'll go back and look at it and it'll be like, wow, I missed that. That's crazy. But I like to add on to something, following up with the M's and W's. Look at the top, guys. Real quick, everybody, look at Jomar's chart and look at the top here. Look how the market formed a big old W here. You see how the market created higher highs, right? But at the end of the high, here came the bearish engulfing candle here to knock out all the bullish power. But at the end of the W, look how the market's reaction was. Strong push down. Now, to complete that W and make it now, what we have is the M formation, right? If Jomar were to take his Fibonacci and measure from here to here, you would see how the market respected all of the prices, but in the end, when the market formed that M formation with the higher highs and the higher lows, the market made that extended move all the way back down to the downside. But overall, great job on this. We'll submit the chart. Let's look at the next chart. We'll do
your girlfriend.
UJ.
I'll stop my share.
Let's see.
Unless you want me to do that one too.
Why don't you do it? Do it. I like how you're breaking them down.
Oh, UJ, I haven't plotted because, you know, I'm in that trade too. I'm in all the trades. Fuck it. All right. All right. So who could tell me what UJ is about to do next? Let me see. Can y'all take a lucky guess? Because this one, you know, she's
share
gonna.
your screen again.
Oh, I gotta share my screen. Oh shit. Give me 1 second. Where are you? Zoom. Share. Okay, UJ. All right, so UJ made a very big impulsive move. If you guys can see that, which like a week and a few days, actually for a week and a half, possibly 2 weeks, UJ did this big old ass extended move right here. Okay, now I want somebody to tell me, what price do you think, if I put my fib level from here to here, what price do you think is this area where we're at right now? Can somebody take a lucky guess? Hold on, where's the chat?
In terms of Fibonacci, guys, what price, what Fibonacci extension or price you think we're seeing, the percentage?
I'm gonna put it. I just want to see who could take a lucky guess, because we were just talking about it, right? We're talking about extended moves, either to the upside or to the downside. When we say extended, it means that the price reversed over 100% to either or direction. So from a chart perspective, you can see that price reversed all over 100%. But when we put that Fibonacci level, you'll see where it's going to land now. So let's do that. So we're going to take the previous leg.
Yeah, 127, correct.
To the low. And where did it bounce? What did I tell you in the previous chart on UCAD? Right? So you see that. So we're in a very important area that from any extended move such like that, this area, the 12720, or the minus 2720 or higher, they're very